Hi Supercharger, are you ready to learn more about color? In this lesson, we're going to dive deep into the topics of hue, saturation, and brightness, all incredibly important aspects of color. Hue is the essential property of color that gives us the sensation of color. It's a property of color that refers to the dominant wavelength of light that produces the color. Hue is the aspect of color that allows us to distinguish between red, blue, yellow, and green, for example. It's what gives color its name and character. Hue works in conjunction with saturation and brightness to produce the full spectrum of colors we see. Saturation refers to the intensity of a color, while brightness refers to its lightness or darkness. Together, these three properties create the full range of colors we see in our everyday lives. In UI design, hue is an essential tool that can be used to create visually appealing and effective designs. We can use it to create a harmonious and elegant design. We can also use hue to create a striking contrast that can grab the user's attention. Hue can also be used to convey emotions and associations. For example, red is often associated with passion, love, urgency, while blue is associated with calmness and trust and reliability. By using hue deliberately, we can create interfaces that evoke specific emotions and associations that communicate desired messages effectively. Instagram's use of a gradient of pink, orange, and purple creates a playful and vibrant atmosphere. The use of a monochromatic color scheme in Apple's product design creates a clean and elegant aesthetic. Think of hue as the color in its neutral state. It's where you are on the rainbow wheel of colors. That's also why in Figma and other design tools, you will see hue represented as a number from 0 to 360, with each one representing a single degree that moves on the color wheel. 0 and 360 are both the same hue, red. Green can be found on 120 and blue is at 240. These are the three hues that split the color wheel into three same-size segments. To sum up, hue is a critical property of color that allows us to perceive and distinguish between colors. Think of it as a transparent piece of plastic with a specific color that sits behind the light bulb. If you change another value of color, like brightness, by making the light in the light bulb stronger, the hue won't change. As the voltage in the light bulb increases, the light intensity increases, but the color or hue remains unchanged. This leads me to brightness. It's an expression of the relative intensity of the visible light source. It is a critical property of color that determines the lightness or darkness of a color. Brightness refers to the amount of light that a color reflects. Bright colors reflect more light and appear lighter, while dark colors reflect less light and appear darker. It is not limited to simply increasing or decreasing the amount of light added to the color. It is possible to increase the perceived brightness of an image by placing it next to a darker image. Brightness is often described using the terms light, medium, and dark, which are relative to each other. In UI design, for example, the use of high brightness can create a sense of excitement, while low brightness can create a sense of calm. The use of high brightness in Google's logo creates a sense of energy, optimism, and excitement. On the other hand, the use of low brightness in Apple's product design creates a sense of elegance and sophistication. Brightness can also be used to create contrast, which can be useful in drawing attention to important elements of a design. In design tools, brightness is represented by a range of 0 to 100%, with 0 being black and 100 being the lightest version of the hue. If you think back to the light bulb example, a 100 is not white. A light bulb with a blue transparent piece of plastic covering it will never be white. It will be an intense and bright blue. Saturation is an essential property of color that determines the intensity or purity of color. This might be the most complex concept out of the three, but I'll try my best to make it click. Saturation determines how much gray is present in a color. A color with high saturation is pure and vibrant, while a color with low saturation appears muted or washed out. Saturation is often described using the terms vivid, dull, or muted, which are all relative to each other. In UI design, saturation is a powerful tool, and we can use it to create visually appealing and effective designs. The use of high saturation can create a sense of energy and excitement, as it draws attention. On the other hand, low saturation can create a sense of calm and sophistication. Saturation can also be used to achieve desired contrast and make important elements of a design stand out. The use of high saturation in Spotify's brand creates a sense of energy and vibrancy in the areas where you want your designs to stand out. Most of the interface is dark and muted though. The use of low saturation in Chanel's brand creates a sense of sophistication and elegance. It's a common choice for fashion brands. It also allows imagery to stand out more. You can see the same principle applied in design of many photo-oriented interfaces like Airbnb. The photos of location stand out, not the text or the background color. Saturation, like brightness, goes from 0 to 100. A color with a 0 saturation will always appear gray. And depending on the brightness setting, it can even be pure white or black too. Having saturation set to 100 will result in a vivid rich shade of that particular hue. In conclusion, saturation, hue and brightness are all critical properties of color. They help us determine the intensity of a color, lightness or darkness of a color, and help us distinguish between colors. All three of these concepts are crucial for the journey we're embarking on. I hope you're ready for more. See you in the next lesson.